if you were just to predict, just for a soundbite,
Okay.
right? Just for like 1 year from now, how high do you think people are going to be paying for primary residence mortgages? How high do you think it'll go?
Oh man, that's tough.
If you had to pick like it, like I just said,
Ugh.
I have a buddy that just paying 6.25 and I almost fell out of my chair. What number do you think is going to become like, remember when we were saying like, I remember on the way down when we were
Hmm.
like, people were refining, they're like, we got four, we got three, we got two. And I was like, what? When is the up like shock gonna stop? What's gonna be the new norm where like people are like, oh man, is it you got seven? You got eight? What do you think it's gonna be? I'll
So
I'll, I'll put my opinion on it just so
okay.
we can soundbite the both of us, and we'll see if we both sound like idiots or not.
So I obviously don't have any idea. This is a complete guess.
No, yeah, we're throwing
Right.
drunk darts at a board. Yeah.
I think and I'm saying this because I always go with my gut and kind of what pops in my head first. And this number, as soon as I knew what you were I knew what you were going to ask me.
Don't
And
say
this
six
number,
point nine. That's a troll. Don't do that. No.
I'm not. So I'll be honest with you, dude. And this may be a little overboard, but if we keep seeing what's happening right now for the next 6 months to 12 months, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked to see 10%.
The over under is set at 10.
Yeah, dude.
You think so? Right now, I teach 18-year-olds, right?
That's top. That's the top notch.
So there is gonna. So what you mean to me is if we have 22-year-old listeners right now that are renting, that are thinking about buying a primary, there's a chance that if they have poor credit, they're gonna get a 10% interest rate on a 30-year mortgage.
Yeah. I mean, again, a complete guess, but the way things are going right now, dude, maybe.
I
I
was
mean,
gonna say
unless
I was gonna
something,
say 8.5, but I trust your judgment more.
oh, well, I wouldn't say that. It just depends on how fast we can turn this around, dude. Like when we start seeing CPI coming to 7 and then to
Yeah.
6, then I would say wherever we're at that point would
Okay.
probably be the top. When we start seeing major turnaround in inflation, which we're not really seeing major signs, like gas
Nah.
prices are going down, but there's still so much shit going up. Um,
But I think this
so
will bring back the. I mean, I think I always try and find the silver lining, right? I'm one of those weirdos. I think the one good thing about it is we fell into a little bit there for a couple years where people felt like owning a house was like a status symbol, and I think more people are going to be long term renting, and I'm for that. Like, I think home ownership is kind of bullshit unless you have kids, to be honest. Like, I
yeah,
am
it's
not
actually a really
opposed.
good point.
I'm not opposed to renting, and I feel like if interest rates were 10%, you'd be like, I got to rent. I can't pay 10% interest on a $400,000 house in New York.
But most people probably won't either. So I think a $400,000 house in New York would probably end up being like a
It's gonna
275.
it has to come down.
Yep.
But I think if it promotes rent, I mean, if you don't, let me ask you this: if you don't have a kid, if you don't have kids, knowing what you know now, would you rent or would you own a home?
Uh,
Not rental properties, would you have a
yeah.
primary residence?
Oh,
I see you moving around the country and just like popping around, like, and
but see, we have to have a home base for where
no,
we
no,
go.
no, that's bullshit because every
No,
single
I mean we do for tax reasons, but
well, I mean, and you have kids too, but every single time I talk to you about like the whole like, wow, this travel nursing thing's going pretty dope. You sometimes are saying I can edit this out if I'm throwing you under the bus, but you're like, oh man, I don't know if I want to go back to Missouri and stay in that house. Like I might want to just ditch this house and see how long we can ride this, travel rent. Essentially, you're not essentially, you are renting. Like just the freedom of renting gives you quote freedom.
for sure. And I 100% agree with you that on there. But like what Lindsay and I are doing also is not the norm. So to answer what's going on right now with me, yeah, I'd probably say I would maybe rather rent. I don't know. Um, but if it was just me in the norm and I was working, I was, had my roots planted somewhere, I'd want to own a house for sure.